These are the stories where the things from our imaginations come to life.
In the name of God, St. Michael and St. George, I give you the right to bear arms and the power to meet justice.
That duty I will solemnly obey, as knight and king.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 fantasy books.
What are you?
Well, I'm a faun. And what about you? You must be some kind of beardless dwarf?
I'm not a dwarf.
For this list, we're looking specifically at novels in the fantasy genre and not the sci-fi genre, as those are novels for another list. We are also looking at entire series, not specific novels, unless the series consists of just one book. However, we're excluding Suzanne Collins' Hunger Games series, as it's really more sci-fi than fantasy. Number 10. American Gods, Neil Gaiman.
You write a book, it's called American Gods. It becomes a classic and everyone loves it and you're very clever and, and all that.
The winner of both the Nebula and Hugo Awards, this 2001 novel by Neil Gaiman brought mythological gods to the modern world. The novel incorporates gods from many of the ancient pantheons and features many subplots about how these gods came to America. The main story follows the protagonist, Shadow, and his role in the developing war between the new gods, who represent modern greed, and the old gods, who are struggling to exist in a world that no longer believes in them. An allegory for today's society.
Stephen King has this same kind of fanatical group of people that love everything he does, and you have that too.
I do, but I feel much safer with my fans than Steve does.
Yeah.
Number 9. The Discworld Series, Terry Pratchett.
And so I expect you'll be in a hurry to slay the dragons and rescue him in a fantastic feat of daring do. No, not really, no. Come on.
Who said fantasy had to be serious?
And all the giant's children didn't have a daddy anymore. But he got away with it and lived happily ever after without so much as a guilty twinge about what he had done. Which proves that you can be excused just about anything if you're a hero, because no one asks inconvenient questions.
The Discworld series, written by Terry Pratchett, parodies many common fantasy tropes and features one of the most creative world designs in the fantasy genre. The world is, go figure, a flat disc, which is poised atop the backs of a group of elephants, all of whom stand on the Great Atuin, a giant turtle. The incredibly complex realm is filled with witches, wizards, zombies, trolls, and a police force called the City Watch that consists of odd beings like trolls, zombies, and vegetarian werewolves.
What the hell are you?
I am your parole officer, and your safety is my concern.
Most of the 40 Discworld novels tend to be thrillers or murder mysteries, with plenty of satire thrown in for good measure.
You're not a pixie. No, I'm a fairy cobbler, mister. Now just keep quiet.
Number 8. The Wheel of Time, Robert Jordan and Brandon Sanderson.
The wheel of time turns, and ages come and pass, leaving memories that become legend. Legend fades to myth, and even myth is long forgotten.
One of the most famous fantasy series ever, The Wheel of Time is renowned for its sophisticated scheme of magic, which works in perfect cohesion with its incredibly comprehensive unreal world.
Will be coming out in the New York Times as the #1 bestseller. Does that ever get old?
Oh no, good God.
The universe is controlled by the Wheel of Time, which has 7 sections, each of which denotes a specific era in world history.
I can remember picking up The Eye of the World off the bookshelf. I was 14, maybe 15, and I had no idea the scope of what I was getting into.
Written by Jordan until his 2007 death, then taken over by longtime fan Sanderson, the series follows the main characters in their attempt to unify the various territories of the world against the Dark One.
In fantasy, you face a great deal of danger, a great deal of uncertainty, but you have one particular certainty when you get into fantasy. You know that evil is not going to win the final victory.
While the traditional good versus evil theme is present in the 14 novels, this series also explores themes like gender roles and destiny versus free will.
It's impossible to gauge the effect of these books on the genre.
Number 7. The Once and Future King, T.H. White.
One land, one king!
T.H. White's The Once and Future King, first published in 1958, further enhanced the famous Arthurian legend. The series chronicles the life of King Arthur, including his initial training from Merlin, his rule as king, and his relationship with Queen Guinevere.
I've made these only for you. I've mixed into them things that will heal you. Not too quickly. And they'll make you a little sleepy, so you can't escape.
The final novel ends with Arthur en route to face his son Mordred in battle.
Come, father. Let us embrace at last.
White differs from other authors in that he gives the already known Arthurian characters multifaceted personalities and goals, even changing Lancelot from a handsome knight to an ugly sadist, a character flaw he tries to overcome throughout the series.
It is the old wound, my king. It has never healed.
Number 6. The Chronicles of Narnia, C.S. Lewis.
Every stick and stone you see, every icicle, is Narnia.
Narnia is one of the most famous fictional worlds in literature, full of talking animals, terrifying beasts, and magic. While The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is the most famous book, the series actually consists of 7 novels.
Welcome, Peter, son of Adam. Welcome, Susan and Lucy, daughters of Eve. And welcome to you, Beavers. You have my thanks.
The main human protagonists of the series are the 4 Pevensey siblings, who are magically transported to the world when Aslan, the godlike lion, needs to protect Narnia from evil. Famous for exploring themes like gender and race, this series stands as an allegory for Christianity, which has sold over 100 million copies. Number 5. His Dark Materials, Philip Pullman. Like our previous entry, His Dark Materials has actually received criticism for its portrayal of Christianity. Though in the case of Philip Pullman's novel, that portrayal has been seen as less than positive.
Well, this is how you grow up.
Get away from me! You'll never keep us apart!
Nevertheless, it's a famously popular series consisting of 3 different novels set across parallel worlds.
One compass remains, however, and only one who can read it.
The trilogy centers on Lyra Belacqua, considered the second Eve, and follows her as she grows from childhood to womanhood. While the story consists of many fantasy elements, including armored polar bears and witches, it also acts as a reinvention of John Milton's Paradise Lost, and alludes to ideas from theology and philosophy.
It is your war too, whether you know it or not.
What would the quarrel be about?
Nothing less than free will.
Number 4. The Dark Tower series, Stephen King.
When you sit down to write a book, do you know how vast its universe is going to be when you settle into it?
I knew this was going to be a big one.
The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. Anyone who's read this vast legend by one of our generation's most popular and prolific authors knows those as its opening words. Beginning with 1982's The Gunslinger, King began dabbling in fantasy, tying together many of his previously created worlds into one. The series follows Roland Deschain, the last living member of the Night Order called the Gunslingers. Roland travels across Midworld's post-apocalyptic landscape to find the heart of all universes, the Dark Tower, which he must protect to essentially save the world.
Boy, I'm glad I'm not that guy.
Consisting of 8 genre-bending books, King describes this series as his magnum opus.
Once you get me going, it's hard to stop.
Number 3. A Song of Ice and Fire, George R.R. Martin.
Winter is coming.
An epic fantasy series in the truest sense of the definition. A Song of Ice and Fire follows the events that occur on the fictional lands of Westeros and Essos.
Put your pinched little head atop a gate somewhere. Might be quite amusing. Except that my head will be up there too. I've much liked my head. I don't want to see it removed just yet.
Martin's epic incorporates numerous fantasy elements, people coming back from the dead, and dragons. But in general, it favors realism over magic, and has received critical acclaim for its story and characters.
If you won't defend your own city, why should they?
What would you have me do?
Lead! Get down there and lead your people against the invaders who want to kill them.
Inspired by real historical events, like the War of the Roses, Martin abandoned the good versus evil trope in favor of realistic characters whose motivations change frequently and who can die at any moment.
Tell me if your precious Brandy commanded you to kill your own father and stand by while thousands of men, women, and children burned alive, would you have done it? Would you have kept your oath then?
Number 2, the Harry Potter series, J.K. Rowling.
You're a wizard, Harry.
With those 4 words, the lives of one young boy and an entire generation changed forever. J.K. Rowling's magical world captured imaginations when the first novel was released in 1997.
Harry Potter receives 150 points for catching the snitch. Gryffindor wins!
Growing up with the children who read it, the series follows Harry Potter, his adventures through Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and his quest to defeat the Dark Wizard Voldemort. While it touched on subjects like the value of friendship and loyalty, it also explored the serious themes of corruption, death, and prejudice.
Nasty brat standing there as bold as brass. Harry Potter, the boy who stopped the Dark Lord, friend of mudbloods and blood traitors alike.
Despite being rejected by 8 publishers, the fantasy epic became one of the best-selling book series in history.
Promise you'll write this summer. Both of you.
I won't. You know I won't.
Harry will, won't you?
Yeah, every week.
Before we open the pages on our number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
Oh, the great Oz has spoken. Oh, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
So far, I'd been assaulted, threatened, kidnapped, and nearly raped. And somehow, I knew that my journey had only just begun.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Number 1, The Lord of the Rings, J.r.r. Tolkien.
In the common tongue, it says, one ring to rule them all. One ring to find them. One ring to bring them all. And in the darkness, bind them.
The one book to rule them all. This epic fantasy novel started its life as a sequel to The Hobbit.
Very clever, Hobbitses. Very clever.
A box without hinges, key, or lid, yet golden treasure inside is hid.
But with over 150 million copies sold through the years, it ended up becoming one of the best-selling series of its kind ever. The Lord of the Rings follows Frodo Baggins' attempt to destroy the One Ring and defeat the Dark Lord Sauron, while the free folk of Middle-earth try to withstand an all-out assault from Mordor. Taking place in a sweeping fictional landscape that hosted a wealth of colorful races and characters, the series had a huge impact on the fantasy genre, with Tolkien's characters, themes, and world influencing countless authors in the years to come. Do you agree with our list? What's your favorite fantasy book? For more epic top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
I will build a round table where this fellowship shall meet. And a hall about the table. And a castle about the hall.